Hi guys, welcome to the start of a new unit. This unit is going to be all about graphing and lines and things like that. And so some of this may be review from previous lessons, but I think that it's important that we practice this together. So let's dive right in. If we want to think about the graphing that we did earlier in the year, we did graphing on a number line. So a number line, remember, looked like this. It was just one horizontal line. We put 0 in the middle usually, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we would go in this opposite direction. Etc. And so it says to graph each number, and so if we graph -3, it's going to go right here. But then it says to graph the opposite, and the opposite of -3 is +3. So I also need to graph that one. So then for the second problem, if we're looking at 8, if I start at 0, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know that those are not evenly spaced, but that's okay. And then if I graph its opposite, I'm going to go 8 in the opposite direction. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that would be graphing both 8 and its opposite. All right, so a little bit of background about graphing as we're going to be looking at it from now on. This guy, I know he looks awesome and like you would want to be best friends with him. His name is Rene Descartes. It's not Descartes, it's French, so we don't pronounce the S's. Rene Descartes. And so he lived in the early 1600s, and he was a French mathematician and philosopher. And so why do we care about him? He's the reason that we have a coordinate plane system, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the story goes that he was lying in bed one night, and he was looking at his ceiling, and he had and he saw a fly flying about on the ceiling, and he wanted to know, so if we think about like this is his ceiling, he was saying, okay, the fly is here. How do I explain how the fly got from here to here? What is the relationship? And then the fly maybe flew here and then here, and he was trying to figure out, how can I explain the position of the fly on the ceiling? Don't know if it's true or not, but it's a kind of a fun story. But he is still, either way, whether there was a fly involved or not, he is credited with developing the coordinate plane system. So a coordinate plane is a grid formed by a horizontal number line and a vertical number line. And it's going to look like this, and it's going to look like this. So we've got a grid. If I'm just drawing one, I don't draw all the little grid lines that go in between. But a lot of the graphs that we'll look at will have those grid lines shown. So the x-axis is the horizontal number line. So this one is our x-axis. And then our y-axis is the vertical number line. So that is really, really important. If you take nothing else away, remember that horizontal means x, vertical means y. So an ordered pair, x, y, gives the coordinates of the location of a point. So if we have a point, I don't know why it's not showing up, but if we have a point right here, it's the ordered pair 6, 3, because we talk about how many do we go over in the x direction and how many do we move in the y direction. So we move 6 in the x direction, 3 in the y direction. So remember that this is the x-axis and this one is the y-axis. And this is called the origin. The origin is always at 0, 0. It means we haven't moved away from the center of the graph. And we always start counting from the origin. So write the coordinates of each of the points on the coordinate plane. All right, so I'm just going to go in alphabetical order. Looks like we've got point A. So if we start with point A, I'm going to count how many points over is it. It's 2 over. So in the x direction, I move 2. And then in the y direction, I move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And notice I did count from the top down, but you could count from the bottom up. It doesn't matter which direction you go. So those are the coordinates of A. Notice that for both of these, I moved in the positive x and positive y. So both of my numbers are positive. Now let's look at point B. For this one, I'm moving to the left 4, and I'm moving in the negative x direction. So actually, let me switch colors. So for B, I'm moving in the negative x, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to get to B, I have to move up. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the points would be negative 4, 6. And for this one, I did move in the negative x, but I still moved positive y. I moved up, and so that is positive. I don't see a C on there. Oops. But I do have a D. Let's see. So to get to D, I move 1, 2, 3 in the x direction, but it's negative 3. And then I move down 2, 3. And that is in the negative y direction, so the coordinates for point D would be negative 3, negative 3. All right, so for E, I actually don't move left, I don't move right, I just move up 2. So I didn't move left or right any, so I moved 0 in the x direction, and I moved 2 in the y direction. Finally, I have F. And so F, I already used that color. Oh, wait, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I moved positive 7 in the x direction and negative 5 in the y direction. So try this one on your own. See if you can write the coordinates of each of these points. Pause the video and then come back. So here are the answers. If you are wanting to check them, you can hit pause again. Make sure that you got the same answers and that they match up. And if not, take a second and see what your error was. All right, so now we're kind of going the opposite direction, and we are being asked to graph the points. So graphing the point P, it says it's at 3, 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move in the x direction 3 and in the y direction 5. Both of those are positive, so I move in the positive direction for both. When I'm graphing points, I do need to put the label on it. I do need to label that as point P. When I graph point Q, I'm going to move negative 3 and then negative 5. Point R is going to be negative 3, positive 5. And point S is 3, negative 5. So try this one. Pause the video and see what you come up with. And here's what your answer should look like. Take a second, make sure that you got the same thing. If you didn't, see what your mistake was. All right, graph the line containing each pair of points and then identify the line as horizontal or vertical. So for the first pair of points, we've got negative 6, negative 4. So I'm going to go negative 6 in the x direction and then negative 4 in the y direction. And I'm going to put a point there. It does not have a letter, so I don't have to label it. My next point is at 3 and then negative 4. And I need to connect those with a line. Remember from our geometry unit that a line has 2 arrows on the end. Your lines should always, always, always have arrows. So, is this line horizontal or vertical? It's horizontal. Now we've got this point 2, negative 1. And the point 2, 4. So over 2, up 4. And I'm going to draw a line through those. And is this horizontal or vertical? This one is vertical. You try one and then come back and check your answers. And again, here are your answers. Sorry I didn't do those in different colors, but this is what it should look like. If you want to think about this one as being the green, it was this one here. So see how you did, and then figure out if you made a mistake, where your mistake was. Your homework will be posted in Google Classroom. I will be in Zoom. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.